Utah men's basketball just made a game-changing hire. What is it? We're going to tell you about it in one moment on today's Locked On Utes.
You are Locked On Utes, your daily podcast on the Utah Utes. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, everyone, and thank you for making Locked On Utes your first listen and view of the day. We are part of the Locked On Podcast Network, available wherever you get your podcasts, as well as on YouTube. If it's your first time tuning into this show, make sure you like and subscribe. And today's show is brought to you by 5-Hour Energy. Head to 5hourenergy.com to find over 15 flavors to choose from. Need one now? Grab a 5-Hour Energy shot at your local grocery or convenience store. Stock up today and stay energized. My name is JT Wistersill, former intern inside the University of Utah Athletic Department. Excited to be joined on today's show by Kyle Garrison of the Daily Utah Chronicle. And Kyle, we got a lot of spring ball news to talk about, more quotes and things that have leaked out of practice or just come out. But at the end, we'll talk about Utah gymnastics winning the Big 12 too. Exciting. Got the regional coming up, but have to start with the game-changing hire that Utah men's basketball just made. And I do say game-changing because the game of college basketball and college athletics in general, they've changed. Utah landed Kings assistant GM and former NBA GM Wes Wilcox to be the GM for the Running Utes. A GM position now in the NIL era is absolutely paramount to a program's success. The fact that Utah has an NBA GM come into the college ranks has me incredibly fired up, Kyle.
Yeah, and me too. I think it's a great hire from Alex Jensen and Mark Harlan. I think they did a great job of going out, like you said, finding somebody that has NBA experience. And you look at his resume too. He has GM experience. He has advising experience, player personnel, coaching, scouting. Jensen talked about it. He said he's a jack of all trades. He loves what he brings to the table. And I, as a fan, I love it too. I think it's going to give the opportunity for this program to grow under leadership that has a professional experience and knows how to run a big program. I'm just excited to see kind of the fit that he has with Jensen. You look at what Utah has done the past couple of years, and it's been underwhelming to say the least from the men's basketball perspective. And you have to give players and guys that are going to come in an incentive to want to play for your program. And I think bringing a guy like Wilcox in does that. I think that players are going to see that he has a professional background. He knows what he's doing. He knows how to get to that next level. And it will allow players to see that, and the transfer portal will start to heat up. Recruiting will start to heat up. And that has kind of been a struggle the past couple of years. Past 9 years, I believe, there's been double-digit losses each year. And Utah's the type of program where that's just not acceptable. And I think hiring a guy like Wilcox is going to start to allow that to not become the norm and be part of the past.
You mentioned it, over 20 years of experience in the NBA, the last 5 as an assistant general manager for the Kings too. And this is a guy who does a good job evaluating, finding talent too. The Kings have been a team a couple of years ago. They kind of surprised everyone and were a top 3 seed in the Western Conference. Keegan Murray, they found. They've had some nice free agent signings too. So he's helped put solid rosters together at the NBA level. And this is a guy, Alex Jensen said he's really fired up to have him come join here too. Said he couldn't, this is what Jensen's quote was from the Utah Athletics website. I couldn't think of a better person to trust with the general manager position for our basketball program. Wes has such a wealth of experience, not only at the various NBA levels, but front office, multiple organizations. That experience, along with the multiple positions he's had in all facets of the game, will be critical as we move forward in the new frontier of college basketball. And this new frontier of college basketball is a wild one. And you really do need a GM who can spend time evaluating talent and also saying like, hey, what's the right, because it's part of being a GM too, is you're trying to figure out like what's the right amount of deals you negotiate to and how much money you distribute your resources with, whether that is your NIL coupled with the revenue sharing that Utah now has access to as well. It's incredibly important for your GM to have a good eye for talent, understand the negotiation part of this too. You can't give too much of your money to one guy and weaken the rest of your roster. And it feels like Utah is positioning themselves for a major bounce back and just to be a strong program that's ready to compete in the current era of college basketball.
Yeah, totally. And I mean, like you mentioned, Wilcox is a guy, he knows the game. He's going to bring a culture that Utah hasn't really had over the past 10 seasons or so. And that's what you need to allow guys to, see what the program's building up to. And that incentivizes them. They want to come and they want to play for a coach and a GM who understand the game and understand the wants and needs of these young players. These guys are just, my age. They're just kids trying to compete at the highest level possible. So I think it really starts with finding an identity for this entire team. You look at Utah football, and even though they had a down year last year, everyone that's come in and everyone that's transferring over and the recruits, they notice the culture and they see that what Utah has built is sustainable. And that's what I think the basketball program needs to start to do. And I think Wilcox is a guy that's actually going to come in and he's going to make moves and he's going to make a difference. Like you said, he is going to be able to allocate money to different people and he's going to be able to build a roster, not just with one or two guys that are stud players or whatnot, but role players and pieces that complement their star players well. And as you've seen the past couple of years with Utah basketball, it's been one or two guys. It's been the Brandon Carlsons, the Gabe Matsons of the world who have stepped up in big roles. But then it's been a real struggle with that backhand, with the bottom five players, with the bench players. It's been 3 or 4 guys that you see here and there making a difference, like the Ezra's, Asars of the world. But you need to be able to complete your roster fully instead of just relying on players that probably won't see the light of the day in most Big 12 teams. I mean, we're in one of the hardest conferences in basketball. We've seen it during the NCAA tournament. The Big 12 is represented by a bunch of different teams. And if we want to get to that point where we're competing for Big 12 championships and playing in the NCAA tournament, you have to figure out a way to get guys in the door and get them to stay.
You do, and it's a massive part of it. I'm curious to see how many guys from the current team are going to stay. Utah competes in the Crown basketball tournament. First year they have that coming up on Monday. It'll be against Butler. Still such a weird thing that's just going on in general. But Wilcox was quoted in the Utah article as well, saying he's excited to hit the ground running right away, help bring Utah basketball back to national prominence and work tirelessly to make that happen. Also, something exciting to know, Wilcox held several roles with the the Cavs organization, including the Canton Charge, where he hired Alex Jensen to be the Charge's head coach in 2011, where it had gone to end up being the D League. It used to be the D League before the G League Coach of the Year in his second season. So the fact that they already have a working relationship has me incredibly excited and fired up too. But I'll even take this one step further, Kyle. The fact that Utah hired a GM who is an assistant GM in the NBA to come be their GM at the collegiate level shows, like, not just a head coaching hire, and we got Chilius is in there too as an NBA veteran assistant coach. This is a Utah basketball program and a Utah athletic department that seems willing to spend money to bring in the best. And that has me very excited for them getting ready to go out and start adding talent in the transfer portal, in recruiting classes too. The vibe around Utah basketball, since Alex Jensen has been brought in, feels different. And for the first time in a long time, there's not just excitement, but I think justified excitement based on the moves that have been made.
Yeah, totally. I mean, you bring in a guy like Wilcox, who was a former assistant GM. And when you look at that, obviously the next step up for him was to go to be the main GM for an NBA team. But the fact that he trusts Jensen, he knows Jensen enough to come and take on this role as the Utah GM, it gives me hope that this program is headed in the right direction. I don't think Wilcox is a guy that's going to go in and take a job where he has the risk of, they're not being competitive or the coaching staff isn't, coexisting well, or if the athletic department is kind of stingy with their money, like we've seen kind of with what's going on with Maryland right now. So clearly Utah's program is headed in the right direction. And a guy like Wilcox is noticing that. He's probably watched the program struggle the past couple of years, and he wants to bring it back to prominence like we know that they can be.
And we do know this program has potential. Is this team a team that I think will make the NCAA tournament every single year? I think that's too high of an expectation, but it's been since 2017 since Utah's made the tournament. That can't happen, and I don't think it will happen. I feel like this Utah team is going to be back in the field of 68 and in the thick of March Madness very soon. Also, with BYU losing last night, I think Alex Markham made note of this too. Utah still has more recent Elite Eight appearances than BYU, so still something that Utah has on the Cougars, and we know the Cougars are going to have quite the team next year. So Utah does need to hit the ground running to try and compete to get to the top of the Big 12. Utah is also trying to get to the top of the Big 12 in football. We're going to talk about some of the latest quotes coming out from spring ball and recapping the first week of action in one moment. Today's episode of Locked On Utes is brought to you by our friends at Nissan. We're all about stats because numbers don't lie. And when it comes to the all-new Nissan Armada Pro 4X, the numbers are on an MVP level with the ability to tow up to 8,500 pounds and quite literally carry the whole team plus the gear wherever you need to go. It's powered by a twin-turbo V6 engine, delivering the strength and performance to handle highways, back roads, and everything in between. And with room for up to 8 people, the Armada Pro 4X is built for big crews, big adventures, and even bigger memories. You can carry the whole team Whether you're exploring off-road trails or rolling up to the arena, the Armada Pro 4X brings power, versatility, and style wherever you go. Take your adventure to new heights in the all-new Nissan Armada Pro 4X. You can learn more at nissanusa.com. Once again, if you want to take your adventure to the next height, the all-new Nissan Armada Pro 4X is for you. Learn more at nissanusa.com today. Today's show is also brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. March Madness is here, and FanDuel is giving you the chance to get in on the action like never before. Right now, new customers can get $200 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. That's $200 extra bucks to use on everything from buzzer beaters to Cinderella stories, even who's cutting down the nets. I also think that it's awesome because you can pick your favorites too. I've got my eye on a few underdogs this year, and FanDuel makes it easy to back them with spreads, totals, and game props. Staying in the action is also never been easier with tournament games happening almost every day. There's always something exciting to bet on. Easy and fast too. That's what the FanDuel app is. It's simple to use, and when I win, I get paid instantly. No waiting around. So visit FanDuel.com and get in on the college hoops action all tournament long. You can head over to FanDuel Sportsbook. Also, not just March Madness, the NBA, NHL, MLB, finally back to. FanDuel has you covered as the Final Four field heats up. We'll see who's going to be in the tournament. But if you want in on the action, make sure you head over to FanDuel Sportsbook today. That's FanDuel.com and get in on the college hoops action all tournament long and all sports season long with FanDuel. Kyle, week 1 of Utah spring ball officially winded down last night. We got to hear from the defensive players. I really enjoyed getting to hear from Blake Cotton. That's a guy, the UC Davis transfer, that I've been very excited about. Utah has a defensive back spot they have to fill. Smith Snowden coming back, Elijah Scooby Davis back. That's another big guy to add. But Calhoun gone, Zmaya Vaughn gone. Even a guy like Kenan Johnson entered the portal too. So who's going to step up? I think Cotton has a great chance too. We got to hear from him. He talked about he came to Utah because he wants to win. And first, I mean, that's the first thing I love to hear, right? Is just, yes, in some ways is that player speak in a way, but this is a guy, you come to Utah because you want to win too. So he likes the aggressive nature that Utah plays with as well. And that is something like you have to be aggressive and willing to, and you have to be able to hold up if you're a Utah corner too, because Utah likes to blitz. They'll bring that pressure. So you're going to be on an island out there. You got to hold down the fort for just a little longer. Now you're not going to have to cover for eternity because that pressure is going to get home eventually, but you got to be able to hold up. And the other thing I love that Blake mentioned is he likes competition. He's ready and willing to fight for this spot. He knew he wasn't going to be handed anything. And I'm really excited for Blake Cotton. I still think the outside corner is going to be Blake Cotton mixed with Elijah Davis. I still like Smith Snowden best in the slot and really liked what I got to hear from Blake Cotton in his first media availability.
Yeah, I love what Blake Cotton brings to the table of this team. Like you said, Elijah Scooby Davis and Smith Snowden, both key pieces. They know the system. They've been around for a while now. And it's just fun to see, like you said, guys talking about competition and winning games and coming in right away. I think that if you bring in a guy like Blake Cotton and you bring in some of those other pieces that, you know, we've talked about it before on the show, there's sometimes that you kind of look at guys because of their pedigree, what they were in high school, and they didn't get a really good chance to show themselves in their past, you know, collegiate experiences. But Blake Cotton is a guy who I think that he can come in and make a difference right away. I don't see him needing too much time to kind of learn and sit and grow. I think that he's a difference maker right away. And you talk about the winning in the championships and that mentality. And a guy that I was listening to talk, and he said the word championship probably 4 different times in like a 3-minute clip. And that was Devon Dampier. That's what I love to hear from these transfers coming in is they know the culture. They know that this team has won 2 Pac-12 championships, and they're not okay with being at the bottom of the Big 12. That is not going to sustain, and they're going to start to work their way up the ranks and eventually, hopefully next year, compete for a Big 12 championship and a spot in the college football playoff.
Yeah, I loved hearing from Dampier too. I mean, this is the guy who it's not all on him, but Utah, I do believe, will go as far as Dampier takes them because he just has the ability to make magic at the quarterback spot. And I feel like I know a lot of things about this Utah team. They're still going to have a really good defense. Are they going to be top 3 in the conference? I mean, I have questions about that just because of how much veteran talent they lost. Morgan Scalley and a lot of the Utah defensive players, we can talk about their quotes in a moment. They are determined to be even better than they were last year. But and obviously everyone is, but that's just going to be tough, just being realistic with what they lost. You don't lose a Zemiah Vaughn, a Junior Tafuna, a Karene Reed every single day and get better the next year. So we'll see how that works out. But for Dampier, this is a guy who just has such dynamic abilities, and I know the running game is going to be there for Utah. The wide receivers have to step up, and that's a position even Witt said they're still waiting to see who those top guys will be. But Dampier is going to have a lot on his plate, and I think he's capable of making the jump up to P4 and being spectacular, Kyle. I was encouraged by what I heard from him. I feel like he's ready in the guy, and it sounds like you share that sentiment too, right?
Yeah, I definitely do. I think he's the guy. I love to hear what he's talking about with the leadership role that he stepped into. He's only been here for a couple of months now, and he's already got great relationships with the coaching staff and with the players as well. When he was talking today, he talked about the culture that Utah has established prior to him getting here. And he talked about the trust with the coaching staff and the players. In today's transfer portal, you have to be able to build trust. And it's hard in only a short time being here, knowing the personnel you have for only, a month or two. He's probably only been able to look a lot on paper. And then this week with spring ball, he's kind of been able to see it unfold on the field. But he's established those relationships. He's gaining the trust of his players or of his coaches and his teammates. And it's just good to see that he trusts in the identity, in the plan of this team going forward. We kind of talked about it with Wilcox before with the basketball program. A guy like Dampier was getting a ton of looks coming out of New Mexico, and he could have chose to go anywhere else, any other Power 5 program, and probably see the field at a decent amount of schools. But he chose to come to Utah. He knows what we're building is special. He knows that Utah has been at the top of the top before, and he wants to help us get us back there, which is just really encouraging, as a fan and just someone who loves Utah football as much as I do. And I know you do as well.
Yeah, I mean, you got to be fired up with what Dampier can bring. And the ceiling is very high for this Utah team, especially with the mentality the defense has right now, Kyle. I spoke on it a little bit, but Morgan Scalley, Logan Fano, you heard both of them talk about today that, hey, we didn't live up to expectations last year, just that they want to be better. And genuinely, they are going to do everything in their power to improve from last year. I still think that'll be tough, but like a direct quote from Fano, he said last year we didn't live up to expectations, and our 5-7 record has been a big thing for us so far. We don't want to repeat that. It's a direct quote that Steve Bartle got in an article on KSL Sports. And I like that they don't want you can feel there is a pain when talking about last year. Expectations were Big 12 title. Everyone, myself included, obviously, was saying this team was going to win the Big 12 last year. And they fell so far short, they didn't make a bowl game, which is still hard to comprehend. It was just such an uncharacteristic year for this Utah football program. And I like that genuinely that it's bothered the players and the coaching staff this much, and that they are determined to do everything they can to try and get this team, this program, back in the right direction. I think they have the players to still contend in this conference, and it definitely sounds like it's only March, but we're going to have a motivated group of Utah football players come fall of 25.
Yeah, if you look at some of the guys that kind of transferred out, I think that there's spaces now for players to step up that have been here before. And like you said, guys like Blake Cotton and some of those pieces that were brought through in the transfer portal, they all have such a competitive nature. They're going to go out there and they want to be the best player on the field at all times, and they want to be the best at their position, and they want to compete during all of spring ball in order to prepare themselves the best to go and win a Big 12 championship and have a chance to go win a national championship. Clearly, obviously, last year was just not great overall. It was a struggle on both sides of the ball, specifically on offense. But you see that there's a foundation that a lot of these guys, like you said, they don't like to lose. They have a bad taste in their mouth. And when you can have this kind of bulletin board material to look back on and be like, hey, look, guys, this is what happened last year. We got punched in the face. Why can't we turn it around and go be that team that starts punching other teams in the face and figuring out how to be a juggernaut in a Big 12 conference that from top to bottom is solid, but there's a ton of room for parity. And I think that Utah has a chance from potentially to jump from, I think it was second to last place all the way up to first. And I think that is totally plausible, especially with, like we talked about, the talent that Devon Dampier brings to the table, the things that he can do on the field. He can break open games at any moment. And I'm just excited to see the potential of this team is as high as it is right now, just in the first week of spring ball. And as the season goes on, Kyle Whittingham, Morgan Scalley, and this coaching staff, Jason Beck, I know does a great job as well. He gets their guys prepared and he makes them better as the year goes on. So it's just exciting to see that there's this much confidence in the locker room right now, and we're a week into spring ball.
Yep. And you mentioned it. Hopefully this team can go from the bottom to the top. ASU did it last year. So that's what Utah is going to try to be in 2025. They want to be Big 12 champs. Speaking of Big 12 champs, the Utah gymnastics team in their first year in the conference did win the Big 12. We're going to talk about that monumental accomplishment in one moment. Today's episode of Locked On Utes is brought to you by 5 Hour Energy. Daylight savings snuck up on us once again. And if you're feeling that lost hour of sleep, 5 Hour Energy has your back. The extra sunshine means more time for fun, but sometimes you need a little boost to power through. Whether you're staying up late watching the NCAA tournament, squeezing in a round of golf after work, or just keeping up with your busy day, 5 Hour Energy gives you that quick, refreshing pick-me-up whenever you need it. It's also, hey, basketball madness is here. So I don't know about you guys, but I'm trying to stay up late and watch these tournament games. And I need that boost the next day. That's where 5 Hour Energy has me covered. So also with these longer days, I love getting outside for a hike and a run. That's where I need that extra boost after a long day of work. Tropical Burst is my go-to flavor for that. It's also the on-the-go convenience, whether I'm at a game or traveling. 5 Hour Energy is easy to grab and keeps me feeling fueled and refreshed all day long. You can head to 5hourenergy.com to find over 15 flavors to choose from, including watermelon, blue raspberry, and peach mango. You can even build your own 12-pack or 24-pack delivered right to your door. Need one now? Grab 5 Hour Energy shot at your local grocery or convenience store. They're everywhere. Stock up today and stay energized with 5 Hour Energy. You got to check out 5 Hour Energy. You can go to 5hourenergy.com or go to your local convenience or grocery store to pick up some 5 Hour Energy today. Today's episode of Locked On Utes is brought to you by the Salt Lake Bees. And who better to have on than to talk about the Salt Lake Bees and the voice of the Bees and Tony Parks. Tony, it's such a fun season what the Bees have coming up. The Salt Lake Bees have a brand new hive. Experience the thrill of America's favorite pastime at the ballpark at America First Square in downtown Daybreak. Opening day is Tuesday, April 8th. Can kick off the season with giveaways, family fun, and professional baseball in an all-new setting. Figures to be a great year, right, Tony?
Oh, it does. And there's no place like first place, and there's nothing like a first-class experience. And that's what you're going to get with the Salt Lake Bees, especially with all the fan-friendly pricing and all the fan-friendly events.
Oh, so many events. I mean, this season, the Bees are bringing more than just baseball. They're bringing an unforgettable experience for every type of fan, including the firework and drone nights that light up the sky all season long. Bark in the Park, where you can bring your dog to the game for 9 special games. Themed events like Superman Night and Cowboy Weekend. Sunday brunch at the ballpark. Every Sunday home game. Plus 3 Abejas nights celebrating culture and community. Single game tickets are on sale now. You can visit slbs.com for tickets and the full season schedule with wallet-friendly pricing, premium seating, and family zones. There's a seat for every fan at the ballpark at America First Square. Visit slbs.com and join the Bees this season. Tony, it's going to be a lot of fun. Bark at the Park food. Can't ask for much better than that.
Well, I live in a neighborhood where you can take your dog anywhere. So that's always good. That Sunday brunch, by the way, is money. 5 stars from anybody who's ever been there.
Ooh, make sure you guys head out and check it out yourself when the Bee season gets underway in Daybreak. April 8th, head over to slbs.com to get your tickets today. The madness rolls on, and if you want to keep it all straight this March, you need the Bracket Breakdown.
The NCAA tournament is here, and so is the Bracket Breakdown.
Locked On Podcast Network and Amazon Fire TV channels are teaming up to deliver NCAA tournament coverage like never before. Watch studio shows featuring former players and Locked On's local experts as they guide you through every upset, buzzer beater, and bracket matchup.
Stream it all for free on Amazon Fire TV channel. Search Bracket Breakdown to see it all for free.
It's your team every day.
Kyle Garrison back with me here. Talk about what the Utah gymnastics program did. It is hard to come into a new conference right away, roll in and win it, but that is exactly what Utah was able to do. They were 13-4 on the season, 6-0 in Big 12 action. They have won 6 straight since stumbling in that early season Sprouts Farmer Market collegiate meet. They were in that action in the Big 12 championship meet. They won it 197.775 for Utah. You know, this is a team that does have some veterans though, right? Like McKenna Smith, Grace McCollum. They've been through a lot with this Utah gymnastics squad, and credit them for once again finding a way and anytime you win by over a point in gymnastics, like 197 to 196, like that's a dominant win. This is one of the best teams in the country, and they proved it yet again, but instead of in the Pac-12, did it in the Big 12.
Yeah, I mean, 6-0 in conference play. It's one thing to win the conference and have a share of it like that has been in the past with the Pac-12 a couple years ago, but winning it outright in your first year in is absolutely incredible. Incredible job by Carly Dockendorf. as the head coach. She's just been unbelievable all year. And you talked about it. There's a stat here. Utah's average score in conference competition was 197.3. Its opponent averaged 196. So that's more than a 1 1/3 point differential. And that's ridiculous in gymnastics. It doesn't sound like very much, but that is unbelievably impressive. Obviously, it's a little bit weaker of competition in the Big 12. Oklahoma left, and they're a powerhouse in gymnastics as well. But nonetheless, such a great accomplishment. 49th straight national championship appearance for Utah gymnastics. And we talked about it before the show. They have a chance to host against, I think it was Stanford, Denver, in either BYU or Utah State, which will be an absolute blast. I know the Red Rocks have brought in so many fans. We've talked about it in a couple of my different classes here at Utah. They're a big deal here, and it's really fun that they're kind of getting back to combination, and they have a real chance to go and win it all this year for the first time in a long time. It's been, I think, 30 years since they won a national championship. So I'm excited to see what they can do going into the tournament. Like you said, Grace McCollum, McKenna Smith, Avery Neff, they've been unbelievable this year, and they're poised to lead Utah to the promised land. I'm excited.
It seems like this could be the year that they do break. They've made the national championship so many. I think it's 48 years in a row and counting, which is just, I mean, I can't even fathom that long of sustained excellence, no matter who's been the coach. And great job by you mentioned. Coach Dockendorf has done tremendous things. Also, shout out Michelle Bodkin, a friend of the show who's come on a lot before. She is their communication assistant for gymnastics. So we've loved seeing her go on and help this team and help be a part of this team's success too. And they will be in action, as you mentioned, hosting a regional. It's going to be packed. They'll have 8 teams there. Utah will compete on Thursday, April 3rd at 7 p.m. The number 4th ranked Red Rocks will be joined by 13th ranked Stanford, 18th ranked Denver, and they'll play the winner of the play-in round between BYU and Utah State earlier on that. Then also you do have the action. Your UCLA, Minnesota, Southern Utah, and Boise State will also be in action. I got a little rooting interest in Minnesota. Shout out my cousin Megan Steenson is on the Minnesota gymnastics program. So looking forward to seeing what she can do in the regional, but should be a lot of fun, a lot of good programs, and Utah definitely in a good spot that they get to host it at home. Kyle, Utah seems to be in a really good spot for a lot of things right now. So if people want to try and keep up with the latest football, basketball, gymnastics, all the other sports, where they need to head over to.
Yeah, head over to the Daily Utah Chronicle. We cover every single sport that Utah has to offer during the spring right now. We've got some great writers on the gymnastics team. I'm covering lacrosse right now. We've got baseball. We've got softball. You name it. We're just doing everything over there, and things are going really well. So we're excited with the just competitive nature that a lot of our spring sports teams have. And head over to Daily Utah Chronicle.
Kyle, thanks for making the time to hop on.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for having me.
That's going to do it for today's and this week's Locked On Utes. We'll be back with you next week when we talk about a lot of things, probably even BYU stumbling a little bit. There was some big news with Dorian Singer. More to come from spring ball as well. Make sure you keep it at Locked On Utes. Hope you have a great weekend, everyone, and we'll see you next week.